Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me today to unpack the latest in the mining industry. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, can you unpack for us dealing with mine dumps to cut down commute times in Johannesburg?
This was a fantastic narrative yesterday during the DRD Gold presentation. And what is really the long and the short of it is that our mine dumps have become like a racial barrier in Johannesburg. You know, Johannesburg was created, and on the other side of the horizon, they created the black areas in Soweto. And it's these big barriers that still stand today, which is unbelievable, because in these dumps is a fortune. We can see how DRD Gold is really extracting huge value. I mean, just in the last year, they've paid tax of over 240 million. So, you know, they will do this if they get an enabling environment. They will remove what they are calling a Berlin Wall, because this has not been removed, and it means that people have got longer journeys to work. They can't stay close to the city because that was the way the apartheid system worked. You had one group of people staying on one side and others were segregated. And that barrier is still there. But within that barrier is huge potential. If that barrier is removed, the gold alone will bring in a fortune. But the land that it will free will be remarkable, because then you can build a new city close to the city, and you could have new era energy, you could have solar power, you could have everything that you need in a big city, and proximity, because one of the things is the distance that our people have to travel in from Soweto. It creates a huge number of taxi trips. It also keeps people away from their family for like an hour a day just in travel. This whole thing could change. And what the DRD Gold is saying is South Africa Incorporated should put its weight behind this to get this done, because it has a win-win-win situation for everybody. So hopefully people will be all ears around this, because, you know, we've been watching it and looking at it for so long, and you'd think that those big barriers would have been removed and the commute time would have been cut down, and there'd be new housing, new era housing, and there'd be new energy, but it hasn't happened. And on the energy side, we need energy in the people now to make sure that they demand that this comes through, and the government should be falling over itself to make sure that this happens. And how it hasn't happened all this time is really the terrible story.
And can you tell us about linking tax laws for job creation, or to job creation?
Yes, it was a great presentation, you know, on the African rainbow minerals this week. And Patrice Motsepe, he was speaking about how important it is in South Africa to create jobs, and how the private sector the world over is the job generator, and how, you know, unemployment in South Africa is really, we've got to eradicate it. Poverty in South Africa, we've got to try and eliminate it. We've got to reduce the equality gap. And he's saying, let there be some sort of incentivization so that people can go in and do things, because there's a lot of comment at the moment that it's not conducive to invest here. And what Patrice is saying is that there is a huge amount of money on the sideline waiting to be invested, but it needs the right atmosphere, it needs the right environment. And the great stride made this week by the president on corruption, that was the starting point. But you need so much more, and particularly around taxation. You need to make sure that the mining companies are incentivized. Don't take away those incentives, as there have been a few whispers that the Treasury might want to do. The Treasury should back off on this. I mean, we've seen huge mistakes by the Treasury over time. I mean, they have been ridiculous on the exploration side. They promised to have a flow-through scheme. Then they gave us a scheme which was useless, and it suited all the boutiques in Cape Town. And that is the problem with the mentality of the Treasury. It's too Cape-orientated. It must become South African-orientated once and for all, and get things going. And what Patrice is saying is that the people who create jobs should be incentivized now. And he's saying, let some sort of tax Treasury involvement be there to get this going and to make sure that this pile of money that's ready to be invested in new mining projects goes ahead for the good of the South African people.
And lastly, Martin, rhodium may be the metal of the decade. Can you tell us about that?
You know, rhodium. We've got the rhodium. It's a South African metal. It's in our Bushveld complex. We hold 90% of it. And the world cannot get enough of it at the moment. And yet we're not producing what the world needs. This is absolutely ridiculous. I know of projects that could go ahead tomorrow at the click of a finger that would give us more rhodium. When you see the rhodium price now going 5 times higher than the gold price, you realize that the demand is so huge. And why is the demand so huge? It's because this cleans the world's skies. And if you see the great strides being made all over the world to actually bring in legislation to clean up the air. You see it in China. You see it in Europe. You see it in the United States. You see these equivalents. That because of the volume of traffic on the roads, you have to make sure that you do not put nitrous oxide into the air, smog into the air. And the metal that can stop this most efficiently without any doubt is rhodium. And we've got 90% of it here. And you'd think we'd start moving to meet the world demand. I mean, who is holding this back? You get it from the UG2, the Upper Group 2 reef, which was for long the sort of second-class citizen, and people went for Merensky. But all of a sudden, you know, demand has changed for palladium, and the UG2 is also palladium-rich, but it's rhodium present. And let's go for it, South Africa. Let's get this rhodium out there and let's get moving.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news and analysis on the local and global mining industries. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.